Cloud. Here we go, Miss
Yay.
Ashley. We are
Woohoo!
live.
Wow, I'll tell you, organic chemistry is so not difficult compared to navigating all of the different technologies of today. It's like unbelievable.
Right, exactly.
Yes,
Technology.
that's
All
right.
right. Well, welcome everyone. So delighted to have you here, and really excited about our conversation that we have in store for you today. And I'm thrilled to be here with my friend and colleague, Ashley Koff. So really excited about that. Guys, today we are going to talk about a topic that's very near and dear to my heart, and I know it is for Ashley as well, and that is learn to do courses better. My name is Lesli Bitel. I know many of you. I just took a quick look at who is on the line, and I just want to welcome all of you. And yeah, so I'm not going to really take up time introducing myself. I'm Lesli Bitel. I run a coaching practice called Lesli Bitel Coaching, and I work specifically with healthcare practitioners and helping them build a thriving and fulfilling business. So really putting all those business pieces together, all that stuff that we really did not learn in school, right? In order to help you to build a thriving practice. And then Ashley, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I am dietitian Ashley Koff, and I am currently the CEO of the Better Nutrition Program. And Lesli and I were talking about it earlier. After having had a private practice for over 20 years, first of all, I wish I would have met her at that point in time. And second of all, you know, I remember my dad coming, and my dad, who's a surgeon, coming and seeing that I was carrying around my patient information in binders in the back of my car, and to cut myself a break. This was before we had like drop boxes and, you know, things like that. As I was going to different locations, and he's like, Ashley, this is not only is it a HIPAA nightmare, but like, you know, what are you going to do? I'm like, well, I need all this information about my patients in one place. And there just doesn't seem to be an easy way. And over the years, you know, for me, really trying to figure out whether it's someone's digestive health or their magnesium needs and everything else, it's only gotten more complicated. So I wish I had Lesli when I started out, and I wish I had the Better Nutrition Program tools when I started out. And that's really how we came together today. And I'm just super excited. We have a lot of knowledge bombs to drop for you. And we are also going to be giving you the slides. So don't worry about taking notes, just hang with us. And we will also be doing a Q&A at the end. Big shout out to our friend Krista, who is moderating for us. So she'll help us with the Q&A. And here we go. Let's do it.
All right, let's do this. Okay. All right, so I think we want to turn our cameras off, right, Ashley?
Perfect. Yep.
So that we can get a really good recording, because sometimes having the cameras can really impact the quality. All right, so I'm going to stop my video here. And Ashley, I am going to stop your video.
Yep.
Okay, you already did that? All right, you're on it. All right, so welcome everyone, and we're going to go ahead and jump into some of the content today. So just to give everyone a little bit of an overview, let's all agree right here and now to make 2020 your year of E. What does E stand for? Exponential. Exponential everything, including client growth, revenue growth, and most of all, exponential winning, not only for you, but your clients as well. So so how do we do that, right? So what is that going to look like? Well, you know that today's topic is all about how to create better courses. And so just to kind of lay a little bit of foundation for you. So you've got one client, hypothetically, right? If you're doing one-on-one work especially, you know, they're paying you for that hour. Let's just say $150, right? So what does it cost you to get that client? These are the considerations that we want to make. So I just want to do a little comparison. You know, we have to consider customer acquisition cost, right? Which is basically your cost of advertising and marketing, all the effort and, you know, money that you're investing, and divide it by the number of customers, right? So obviously we want that customer acquisition number to be low. And so we want to consider the amount of time that you're spending with clients, because remember, time is money as well. So obviously, if we're getting more people via a course, then that's going to make our customer acquisition costs go down dramatically. And there's so many advantages behind that, right? So especially when we consider the amount of time that you're spending on one client's care, right? Think about all the prep time, time in session, time writing notes. And really the big challenge is you eventually run out of hours to sell in your day, right? And that's the challenge. You run out of hours, and therefore at a certain point in your business, you really are going to want to find ways to scale and move into, you know, from one-on-one into the one-to-many. So, you know, when we compare that to doing a group course, right, where we're, instead of seeing one client at a time, you know, hypothetically, we're seeing 65 in that same hour. Obviously, your acquisition cost, you know, you're going to be spending the same amount. However, you're able to really scale and utilize that spend much more effectively when you're able to bring on, you know, again, 65 people versus one. So that's really the rationale behind this. And really one of the things that really gets me excited about this whole model is that, sure, it gives you variety, which is awesome. It allows you to, you know, really generate more income per any given hour. But what I think is even more exciting is it allows your impact. You have exponential opportunity to make an impact in the world. You can serve more people. And really, I think that's what it's all about. So, all right, so that is a little background on our rationale for putting this together.
Awesome. I love that so much. And, you know, one of the things that as healthcare practitioners, especially there's like last week I was doing an interview with Amanda Archibald from Genomic Kitchen. I'm like, oh my God, there's so much I want to learn about DNA testing and genomics and all of this. And yet then I sometimes sit there and say, well, what about if I'm sitting there learning about things that are going to help my clients better, but I'm also supposed to be learning spending that time on marketing, something's got to give, right? And a lot of times it's my own health or my sleep that gives, and that's not a win. So, you know, one of the things that we're going to talk about today is really about how the marketing that you're doing for your business, and especially for a course, is going to be something that should come and really yield you all of those exponential, all those E's, allowing for you to have time, whether it's for a hobby or for investing more in your education, which then continues to allow you to improve as a practitioner. So we were just talking about your better first step, why, but we're going to go a little bit into, you know, why doing courses. And then really important, we've identified some missteps, not mistakes, but missteps, you know, so there's a clear path from here to there that is a better path for you. And when you take missteps, it's, you know, it just can be either a financial loss or it can be just keeping you from getting on your path and being as efficient. And so we really want to help you create better courses. Then we also want to focus on how to build it so they will win. To me, this is where my heart lives so much as a healthcare practitioner, because when I look at so many of the companies and individuals who are running programs to teach people about doing courses, they are not healthcare practitioners. And the win for us is not getting somebody to sign up or purchase your course. The win for us is their better health outcome. So we always have to be coming back to that. And so that's something we really want to focus on. And then, of course, we want to talk about, and I just feel so lucky to have Lesli's genius here, how to build it so they will come. Like, what is that marketing? And when we say market better, it's really how do you market your business better and how do you market your courses better so that this is, it's all happening cumulatively for you. That's really the exponential piece, as opposed to I'm over here marketing my course right now, and then somewhere else I'm over there marketing my individual services, and then somewhere else I'm marketing myself as a speaker, and somewhere else I'm marketing myself as somebody who has a supplement store, et cetera, et cetera. And then you got to stay on, because we've got some offers for you that we really think are incredible, that are going to help you take this to the next level, E squared exponential this year. And of course, we have a Q&A. So that's our plan for the next hour.
All right, we got a lot of good stuff to cover, don't we, Ashley? I'm super excited. All righty, so we came up with this Yeah, pretty cute little, I don't know, what do you call this, an acronym? And it's all about, if you look at it downwards, it's course, right? So what does course stand for? Well, the C stands for a platform that allows you to go from one-on-one to the one-on-many, one-to-many model so that you can help more people. And again, what we're all about here is helping more people to achieve their desired results. And ultimately, we have an opportunity here to impact more lives. Outcomes, really improved outcomes and health status. We really want to, whatever we create, it's all about helping people to achieve those outcomes, right? And I am completely on board, and I'm sure all of you are on this call today as well, in terms of, really wanting to create quality courses and content that are actually going to help people move forward in their journey, right? In their ability to make sustainable changes in their lives and really get those results that they're after. All right, so upsell opportunities. So people that have taken a course with you, and this is really exciting, we'll be talking about this in more detail, but the really cool thing about this is that people who have worked with you, let's say in a course, a group course type of setting, are much more likely to want to move forward with you to the next step, i.e. perhaps in a high-end signature program. So that is exciting because you're able to really develop that, what we call the know, like, and trust, right? You've got, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, however long your course is, to really develop trust. They get to know you, and they're much more likely to become clients for life in many cases. All right, so the R is reach them where they are. So this is in terms of, both health status and convenience, right? So the really cool thing with this model is, you're allowing people to learn even from the comfort of their own homes. And then you're able to spend your time better. So instead of serving just one person in any given hour, you are, in this model, you're again able to serve many. And simultaneously, the really nice thing from a financial perspective is that you are essentially able to generate more revenue in any given hour with this model than you would in a one-on-one setting. And of course, it is the year of E, right? 2020, exponential growth. So obviously this platform allows for exponential growth in revenue. I really think it also allows for exponential personal development and professional growth as well, right? It's, working in groups really provides an incredible opportunity, I think, to fine-tune your coaching skills and your group facilitation skills. It's really a great experience. And of course, you also, by launching courses, have a great opportunity to, grow your business, become more prominent in the field, right? You can really establish and position yourself as a thought expert and leader in your particular niche. And all that leads to things like incredible email growth, right? So every time you launch, chances are really great that you're going to have a nice increase in your email list as well. So lots of advantages to doing courses.
But as we were just talking about, we have to be careful to avoid these missteps. So one of the things that we want to make sure we are doing in developing a course is not making assumptions. You need to make sure that you know what their needs are, and in terms of identifying those needs, that needs to happen both before in your audience and your target and figuring out how you're developing your course, but also when you actually have those clients come in. Because I could have, and this is actually happened, I could have somebody sign up for our digestive tune-up in September, and when they come in to see into the actual program at the start of, it was the middle of October when we were running it, their needs may have changed. So we want to make sure that we have a real-time capability of understanding their needs and what they're looking to get out of it. And then that's so important for your outcomes piece, because then as you conclude, you can come back to, hey, did we meet your needs? And if not, or if we started along that pathway, that's that upsell opportunity. Now to further meet your needs, here's where we're going. The other thing today, I can't say this enough to healthcare practitioners, you cannot exist today as a healthcare practitioner and be successful just by delivering information. Information does not translate into better health outcomes. We know that. We don't have to dive deeper into that. Everyone on here knows that part. But also, especially in the course space, there's a tendency to want to chalk in like a lot of information in there. And then what you have is a course that actually gave someone infobesity as opposed to help them develop better health outcomes. So what we really want to think about is, in your course, how do you generate engagement? It may actually be, and this depends also if you're doing an evergreen or if you're doing a course, a live course. I do just live courses, but I always allow for flexibility in my courses to, as I'm generating that engagement and getting feedback, to shift what I'm talking about to make sure that we're really staying on path with what somebody needs at that moment. And that's how we deliver better health outcomes. If you've ever worked with one individual client, one ever, you know that their life and their path doesn't follow a specific path. There are things that come up all the time in terms of getting them to their outcomes, and we have to be able to do that. So we want to make sure that our courses do not just deliver information. And then the most important thing is hitting the bullseye. So whether you're hitting the bullseye, you as a healthcare practitioner have the capability to hit the bullseye more often with your client than any other resource that they are going to identify. If they're buying a book, it's going to be somebody, or your book, it's going to be hopefully your bestseller, but it may not be their better program because it's their interpretation of what they take away from your book. If they're listening to a TV show, if they're following another online program, not from a healthcare practitioner, that doesn't allow personalized vetting and engagement. And so in that way, the reason you can actually bring them into the bullseye is you can figure out what their current nutrition is and where their nutrition needs to go in order for them to achieve those outcomes. So you can help them hit the bullseye there. But then, of course, from a marketing standpoint, you need to make sure you're marketing your course most effectively. And sometimes we feel that means, I think the mistake there can be, and Leslie's going to talk a lot more about this, mass marketing does not equal effective marketing. And so how can you get really targeted in your marketing to hit that mark?
All right. So we are going to talk about actually my 6 favorite tips to help you build your course so actually they will win, but you will too. All right, so let's start by talking about how to define your audience, right? Because this is really the most important place that you want to begin this process. And really what I think is the best place to start is to really take a look at, really begin to explore your own story as a starting point, right? So, got a little cold here, so bear with me, guys. So, in order to find your ICA, the ideal client avatar, I really think we start that process by looking within. What have you struggled with? What have you helped other people to overcome and to achieve, right? That's the place you want to start. You want to make sure that whatever topic that you choose, that you're feeling really confident. It does not mean that you have to have experience helping hundreds of people in this particular area, but you do need to be confident that you can help people, right? And ideally you have either helped yourself and you have potentially helped a few other people in your practice with this issue that you want to create a course around, right? So the course concept is really, really important. And the thing that I want to really emphasize here is, do not get overly attached to a concept until you have surveyed your audience. That's really important. I've seen this happen so many times. So ideally, before you get super attached to a course idea, do a survey, do a poll, really begin to better understand your target market's pain points. What are their most significant and poignant pain points and struggles? And remember, we want to look at this from their perspective, right? Not ours. You know, it's really interesting. We come from the expert standpoint. We think we know what they want, but my guess is when you do a really good survey, you're going to be pleasantly surprised at the information that you're going to garner from that. Okay, so make sure that you do a little market research before you get super attached and really go, you know, really deep into the course creation process. The other thing that you want to ascertain from a survey is, you know, not only what are their main struggles and challenges, but what do they want? What are they looking to achieve? What are their desired results? And one thing I can share, the beauty of taking time to do this is that not only are you going to get more clear about your course position in the market, it's going to give you great data to name your course, right? Because you want that name. That name is super important. It really needs to be benefit driven. It's going to help you name the course. It's going to help you come up with the modules that you're going to teach in the course. It's going to help you, actually, it's going to really help you to market the course. Because what I love about this is by doing a survey, you can get, you know, word for word what your target market is thinking, what they're feeling, what they want, and you can literally echo that exact language in your marketing. And let me tell you, that is the best marketing. I believe marketing is really all about empathy, understanding your market, and you know, being able to, I guess, mirror or echo what they are telling you really makes for the best marketing ever. So do take the time to, you know, do a little survey, do it on Google Forms or, you know, any other platform just to collect some data. All right, so let's go to number 2. So to clarify, you really want to be clear on your audience. Who is it that you're targeting for the course? And so that leads us to step number 2, which is to ensure that your course actually drives results. Right? So very important. Guys, you got to deliver on the promise. And one little tip I want to share here is specificity matters, right? The more specific you can be in being able to describe what your overarching promise is for the course, the more successful you're going to be. And honestly, if you are just starting this course creation process, I really want to recommend that you start with something really doable. Instead of saying, oh my gosh, I'm going to try to solve all their problems with a course. That is going to be really tricky. And honestly, it's also a little bit, it's kind of difficult to market as well, because the results and outcomes and benefits get a little fuzzy when you go too big. So pick one problem, one poignant, significant struggle that your target market is grappling with, and solve it in a course. That's the way to go. So specificity really matters. And so you can see on one of the bullet points, your zone of genius intersects with your ideal client avatar's most significant pain points. So in case you're wondering, ooh, so I'm not really sure, I have so many interests, I don't really know where to focus in terms of coming up with a course concept, start by thinking about your zone of genius. Where do you feel really confident? Where have you delivered results? What types of clients or patients were those people? What do they have in common? Again, you can revisit your own personal journey, and maybe you have a health situation that you have really solved and kind of cracked the code on your own. So, but the thing is, your own zone of genius, right, needs to overlap with your target market's most significant pain points. And that's really the key. So you don't just want to say, oh, I'm going to do XYZ course because that's what I like. Because if you don't validate it through your survey, you know, you just risk that perhaps it's not going to be a big seller or, you know, super inspiring for your target market to join, right? Okay, so let's move on. So number 3, this is super important as well. You want to set clear goals for your course. So I really like to say, let's set some clear sales goals for your course. Many people don't do this, right? They just kind of put something together. They don't do a lot of research. They just kind of go with what they think they want to do. They get really attached to their own concept before testing. And then they just kind of throw it together and hope for the best, right? So what I really want to encourage you guys to do is be strategic, be proactive, put some numbers together, really decide, you know, how many people do you need to have enrolled in your course in order to, you know, achieve your sales goals? How often do you have to launch your course in order to make the goal? How many people do you need to have enrolled in the course every time you launch, right? Because depending on the platform that you use, you know, you actually really, I want to emphasize this in terms, because I get this question a lot. Do you need, you know, is it really expensive to launch a course? Well, it certainly can be, but I also want to say you really can bootstrap it as well. And for the first time out, that is what I recommend. You know, you really want to be in a situation where you can test and really, you know, see how well the market receives your course idea, really, you know, validate the concept. And, you know, we'll get to number 6 later, but just to let you know, you definitely want to tweak it the next time around. All right. So set your goals, set some really clear financial goals for yourself. Some of the platforms, like, you know, there are platforms out there that can be a little bit pricey, right? And so you just want to make sure that whatever platform you're using, you're being super proactive. You want to, of course, you know, at least break even. And certainly the ultimate goal is to be profitable, right? So be really cognizant. And all of this, you know, these calculations are going to help you in determining the price of your program as well. So that's why it's super important. The other thing that you're going to want to consider is whether you want to do like a live, open, closed type of course or program versus an evergreen. And just really quick, for those of you who aren't super clear on what the difference is. So the, you know, an open/closed course format is usually live, not always, but it's usually live. I think, Ashley, you mentioned that you prefer doing live. All of my courses are live. And
yeah, I think as a healthcare practitioner, it's a little challenging to do an evergreen course. Or like to your point, it might, and certainly never the first time, because you know, again, we don't just have people coming in that if they like follow something, they're going to get those outcomes. You want to be able to work with them through this. So, you know, but that's the type of course I'm talking about, you know, where you're helping somebody achieve their health. You're running a course that would be replicating the outcomes or even optimizing the outcomes that you would see in individual practice.
exactly. That is, well, and such a good point that you make there, Ashley. You know, in healthcare, I do think and you know, it's a personal bias. Certainly you can do evergreen, right? But here's the little tip that I want to pass along is what I would recommend before you put a course on evergreen is do it live. Do it live once or twice so that you have an opportunity to actually deliver. And that way you can be confident that the course delivers on the results that you're promising. You have an opportunity again to go back and tweak it. And then if you find that you've got a winner, right? Like, you know, there's a lot of demand for the course and people really want the course, you could put the course on evergreen. But even so, I just want to be really clear on the fact that people value live interaction. right? Wouldn't you agree with that, Ashley? It's just so
Yeah,
important.
and I think one of those things like that you're talking about too is, again, they're coming to you as a healthcare practitioner. So I look at it as like, wow, you know, you get the best of both worlds. They get to work with you. They also get to be motivated and collaborate with their other colleagues or with the other participants in the group. And you also get to, you know, as we've talked about, allocate your time, but also this is a program. The reason somebody might take your course, this is why I'm hoping they'll take your course, is that they're able to find you. Like if they wanted to, you know, if there was an awesome practitioner down the street that they could easily go to and that was open at whatever hours they needed, you know, all of these other things, like they would be doing that. And so what they're really looking to do is work with you for less money, but also be able to get all of those wins. And I think for that, they have to actually be able to work with you live. Otherwise, it can run the risk of feeling more like a book or something they're signing up for that doesn't have a person behind it. I do want to, somebody was asking Leslie, can you define Evergreen? Because we started chatting about it as it compares. And I think that they wanted to get your definition of Evergreen.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Great question. Thanks. So yeah. So an evergreen course is kind of like, you know, think about like an evergreen tree. Like it's always green. It's always there, right? Even in the winter here in the Midwest, I'm looking at a pine tree right now. It's really green. So that's kind of the analogy for an evergreen course, meaning it's generally available year round, right? Or, you know, it's like, so what a lot of people do to create an evergreen course is they'll pre-record it. They'll create all the content. They spend a lot of time up front creating the content and pre-recording all of the different modules. And then they upload it, like, you know, to a platform. There's lots of different platforms available for this purpose. And then basically then, you know, they'll have the participants, they can just kind of jump in and purchase the course kind of at any time, generally speaking. So, and that's in an evergreen format, let me just say, I think the biggest difference is it's not live, generally, right? It's pre-recorded. People can buy it generally at any time. So there's not really a live version. And I will say, this is an important consideration when you're pricing your course. Evergreen courses, like they really can work. And I will say there are some advantages from a business standpoint, but the challenge is, like a lot of times we think this is going to be the panacea, right? Like, oh, I'm just going to create an evergreen course and I'm going to put it on my website and I'm going to make tons of money in my sleep. I wish it were that easy, right? And the other thing, the big consideration is the value, the perceived value for something that is pre-recorded. You just have to know going in that it is less. Generally speaking, people pay for access to you, whether that be, you know, a live course, you know, interaction during a live course, or the ability to, ask you questions in some type of format. So anyway, an evergreen course is generally pre-recorded, and people, you know, matriculate through the course on their own, which, definitely can impact outcomes, because let's face it, I know when I buy courses, I find it pretty difficult to stay motivated to finish the course. You know, I'm like all excited at first, and then, you know, like everybody else, I, you know, tend to get a little sidetracked. So it can, as Ashley was talking about, it really can have potentially a negative impact on your outcomes. So those are just things to keep, you know, stay aware of when you're deciding. And again, I recommend that at least the first 1 or 2 times that you offer the course, I really want to recommend that you do it live, because then, you know, you really have a good gauge of how your participants are, you know, matriculating through the course, what kinds of questions that come up for people, and then you can circle back around and, you know, make any changes to the course offering. And then, you know, eventually, if you find that, like I said, if you find that you've really got a winner, you could put it on Evergreen. And, you know, honestly, at that point, you could offer it evergreen, and, maybe offer some kind of, a mechanism within the course where they are able to ask questions, just so, because again, we really want to make sure that we're delivering on our promise, whatever that overarching outcome is, for the course. And we want to help people to be able to achieve that. And quite often they are going to have questions. So I guess, if you decide to go evergreen, I would try to consider, what can I add into the course to support my students or my registrants as they go through the course so that they get they can really optimize their outcomes. Does that answer, is everyone clear on that, what the difference is? Ashley, do you have anything that you want to add?
No, I think that's great. It had popped up in there and you're getting a lot of head nods. So yes.
Okay, good. All right. Excellent. Okay. Love it. So, all right. So that is, the idea, that's the difference between an open/closed versus evergreen course. So, and let me just say one more thing about the open and closed enrollment. So what this means, and this kind of goes into marketing strategies and tactics a little bit more. So an open enrollment type of launch strategy, what that means, it really just means your course starts on a certain date. So like, let's say I'm creating a course. Many of my clients are in the process of doing this right now. They want to have a course that is ready to be launched, in 2020, like January or February, right? So what that means is we start by picking a date. We start by picking a date when we want the course to begin. So let's say, we want the course to begin, January, let's say January 15th, right? So what we need to do is create a strategy, a really specific, very detailed marketing strategy that is going to ensure that we get the word out so that we have registrants all to start on that same date, right? So that is an open/closed enrollment type of course. Generally, it's done live, and there are deadlines because you're offering it live. The course starts on a certain date, and it's pretty much all hands on deck, right? In order to, you're really, really focused on the process to inspire your participants, the people in your audience to jump on board and sign up for the course so that they can go through that experience and journey with you live. So if there's any questions on that, I'm happy to talk through that. But I think the main thing here for number 3, it's all about setting clear goals, being really proactive about your numbers so that you're not surprised, right? Because, again, if you're signing up for some of these course delivery platforms, quite often there is a fee associated with that. So you want to make sure that you're considering all of those, potential fees and things like that, so that you certainly break even. And ideally, of course, we want you to be very profitable. So when we think about marketing strategies and tactics, how do we go about getting the word out? That's a really common question. So many people, have an idea, and I'm sure there's many of you in the audience today that are really comfortable with creating a course. You feel like you've pretty much got that part nailed. But where you may be concerned is, well, how am I going to effectively get the word out so I get registrants? So that is, that requires, like I said, a very concerted strategy around, how, like, the whole process, your sales funnel, and let me just say, I'd like to start kind of at the end point and kind of reverse engineer, right? So we start with the course date. When do you want the course to start, right? When is your cart going to open? Generally, I like to give myself, probably about a month to have, to be able to market the course before it actually begins, right? So that gives you a little bit of time, you're going to want to decide, am I going to have like a freebie of some sort that leads into the paid course? Because guys, here's the thing. We really want to help, and this actually speaks to number 5. You want to help to develop that all important know, like, and trust. You really want to get people excited about your course topic and, develop that know, like, and trust. You have to do it somehow. And generally it's through free content. So one of the decision points you're going to want to make before you, begin this process of launching a course is you're going to want to decide what is my strategy to develop, to warm up my audience and get them excited about them taking that next step with me. So let me give you a few options that you might choose from. One option would be to create, like a PDF of some sort that's connected, right? You want the topic to be connected to your course idea. You don't want it to, cover the entire course, of course, but, at least you want it to be related to your course concept. All right. So you could do a PDF and, so a big part of your launch strategy would be to entice people to opt in for your freebie. Another thing that many people do nowadays is they do like a 3 or 5 day challenge, right? So they'll do a big challenge, and that way, again, people get a sense of who you are as a practitioner. They get to know you better. They're spending time with you, in that week. And then at the end of the challenge, like day 3 or 5, whatever that last day is, you invite them into your next step, which is your paid course. And then a third very common option here to warm up your audience is to do a webinar, right? So you can do a webinar and, always give a lot of value. You want to be really cognizant of delivering value. And then in that webinar, you basically position the webinar as an initial step, right? We can only cover so much in an hour. So I'm going to do everything I possibly can to, help you, achieve X, Y, and Z in this hour together. And if you really want to master this content, at the end of this webinar, I'm going to share with you the next step, right? So that's kind of how you set the webinar up. And then towards the end of your webinar, you invite them into your paid course. So those are really the 3 super common ways to warm up your audience. You can also do video, like you can do Facebook Lives, you can do which I love. I mean, video is so key in this day and age, especially on social media. But you want to be thinking of how are you going to warm up your audience. Newsletters are also a great way. The thing you don't want to do, guys, you don't want to, have an email list and like the only time you communicate with your people is when you want them to buy something, right? So don't do that. Instead, you want to really deliver value throughout the year. And that way, people are they're trusting, they know your stuff, they know you're awesome, they're in love, they've fallen in love with you and your work. And when you do offer a paid option like a course, they're ready to buy, right? So that's what we want.
I feel like that's such a key thing that we talk about so often, where it's like, again, we're not in the business of selling. I always tell people, like, if I was going to, like, I'm great at sales. I started my career off in advertising. I love selling things. Really good at selling other companies' products, but that's a different job than being a healthcare practitioner that's trying to get somebody outcomes. And so, I think what you want to be doing in your newsletters and your communications is bringing them along so that when they are participating in a program, they know what, as you talk about, like knowing and liking and trusting, but also they're very clear on you are on a path with them. And that continues to, as we talked about in the beginning, that's really the exponential piece, where your course isn't going to be a one-off where you just like get them to sign up for something or get them to buy something, and then I'm going to go on and try to meet other people to buy. Because one of the things we also learn in business is that a loyal customer, a lifetime customer, is somebody that you can really cultivate and take them along and get more value from and offer more value to, instead of always trying to find new people to buy your one course. So I think that's such an important part. I want to, Lesli, I'm going to bump us in just because I'm monitoring our time a little, and I know we've got a bunch of questions that are coming. So I think what's happening here, and it's like, I feel, Lesli and I were just talking about it. We're like, we probably need to do like a one-day summit. So just, you know, so you all know that's coming. There's so much content here. We're kind of talking both the marketing side. So for everybody who has more questions about marketing, Facebook, et cetera, that's going to come up in a moment too, when we move out of the building the structure of it into the marketing side. So maybe we can move forward, and I'll dive into a little bit more of that. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. So let's keep going.
And I just really capturing on, you know, what's so nice about when you think about what your course needs to be sold and what your course needs to structurally have to deliver outcomes, it really does begin with that personalization. So in the beginning, when Lesli was talking about knowing your IEC and really thinking, or ICA, and then thinking about your own story, what we really are, the 2020s is the decade of personalization. And no matter what area of nutrition and health you're working in, you have to help people along as an individual. Otherwise, they're going to go somewhere else. Because personalization is what hits that bullseye. And so, you know, Lesli was mentioning how you can have you can be thinking about, you know, what's your pain point or something that you've overcome or an experience that you've had. Well, when I'm teaching people how to create courses that actually deliver on the health outcomes, what we focus on is the exact same thing. You need to, you know, ideally you're not doing a course if you've never helped one person achieve an outcome on that particular topic. I don't think I would just launch into doing the course, but you don't have to have helped hundreds. And what you really want to do is sit down, and the idea behind that avatar is think about that patient. Or what I actually do is I go back to my patient notes and I go through what that was. You know, what were they saying to me in the email or when I met them that brought them in, or what's the conversation that I am consistently hearing about? And then what are the steps that we took as we went along that pathway? So for example, with a digestive tune-up, one of the things I actually need to know is, how is your digestion? So obviously assessment is going to be that first place. And when we're assessing digestion, we can get very personal at the same time, whether we're working in a group or we're working at the individual level, because when we use our tools, which I'll show you in a moment, you can have everybody fill out that assessment. And then you, the practitioner behind the scenes, can review those. And then that helps you actually build the structure of your course or vet what you're doing in your course against what the specific people who are in your course are doing. So what do? Lesli was talking about, you know, you back out maybe a month ahead. Well, I always close my courses before I'm actually starting them, so that I have a period of time where I can review the assessments and then get them started. In January, we're running our Sweet Success program. Our sugar shakedown program, because people, after doing our digestive tune-up, are like, we really need help with our added sugar intake. And what we're doing right now is doing that assessment of their added sugar intake. That means day one of that program, I can set a sugar budget for each of those individuals. They're all going to go through the group, they're all going to go through the program, but each one of them is going to know what their goal and what their particular recommendations are initially. And that allows you to do that, where she was talking about the tweaking and the repeating on your course. That allows you to track and reassess throughout your course. So when I'm doing a 30-day course or a 60-day course, I am having them both track and then reassessing where they are compared to where they were in the beginning as we go along, so that we can start to see where there's progress, and also to avoid some of those missteps as we talked about. And one of the ways that we can do that in building your course is making sure that you have engagement. Remember, we do not win by competing with information. We win when we help people feel engaged in their healthcare. That is the biggest issue today, where we want, and I'll say those people, it's me too. I need to feel engaged in my healthcare with my practitioner and know that we're talking about, and that I'm actually tracking things and I understand what I'm tracking. It's not, you know, the decade of the Wizard of Oz where something happens behind the curtain and I come in and I just hope, like, oh my gosh, I just hope this year my cholesterol levels are better. You know, like, we've got to actually help engage them. And the way that we can do that is sharing content in our course, but then giving them homework and even creating competition. Now, depending on like if you're, you know, a Soul Cycle person, or you like to go to the one like that has like a leaderboard where they see how you're actually competing with other people, I'm not a big fan of actually having the competition. Like certainly if it was a weight loss program, or even if it's a, you know, something, I'm not going to have everybody share their numbers, like, but that might work in your group. I'm, you know, that I totally leave that open to you professionally. But what you can do is create a competition, because when you help people and you invite them to share their wins, they're more likely to come back and also to learn from what other people's wins are. So I think that's a really important piece. And then in terms of the course, Lesli went into this. I don't need to go into it in greater detail. Who are you? Why your course? You know, get personal. So for me, the digestive tune-up was always the natural course for me to start. I started doing this course 15 years ago. And for me, that was because I ended up on a 7-day goat's milk cleanse trying to heal my digestive system. And when I figured out that that was not the path, and I learned about integrative digestive health and tuning up my digestion, I was like, I got to help everybody do this. So when I tell that story, what I'm actually doing is allowing the participants to know that I am vulnerable. I am letting you know that I was where you were, that I understand how when you're feeling your worst about something, you may make decisions that are what we would call not better or impromptu, or, you know, ones that even could negatively affect your long-term health. And when I'm able to share that, they feel very comfortable. I, of course, share that I've learned a lot since that goat's milk cleanse, so they don't think that they're signed up for a program if somebody is going to recommend a 7-day goat's milk cleanse, but we've got it on that part. And then this is the one that I think is the most important like added bonus in a course that a healthcare practitioner is offering. I know nothing about doing courses for people who are not healthcare practitioners, but in general, in our practice, we have to make it easier for them to do better. So when we identify what somebody actually needs, what that big win is for them, and we structure a course, whether it's with an individual or if it's with a bunch of people, where we show them how to go follow down that path, and each you know, the initial thing that we have them do is one that helps them do better. So for example, if somebody is having a really big difficult time with sweet cravings, I am going to find out, are they sleeping well? How are they feeling when they wake up? Because if I just start telling them to, you know, hey, instead of having added 3 teaspoons of added sugar in the afternoon, you should have 1, then like I personally would just throw down, like I'd be like, I'm done with this course. As Lesli said, I'd be like, I'm not sticking around on that one. But if I talk to them first about their sleep and I explain, hey, when you are not sleeping well, and oh, by the way, there are going to be nights that you're not sleeping well. So let's work on your sleep. But also when you are not sleeping well, you're more likely to have sugar cravings. So one of the things I want us to do initially is I'm going to teach you about nutrient balance, and so that we can set up better blood sugar for you throughout the day, so that hopefully you're not having that 3 p.m. dip. And I'm also going to talk about things like maybe in the evening, if you are noticing that you're having a lot of sweet treats in the evening, let's actually invert that and have you have that at 3 p.m. so that you're satisfied, so that you get what you want to have there, and not have it in the evening, because I can do more to help your sleep, which over time is going to help this 3 p.m. issue, et cetera, et cetera. So we've got to go, our course has to be paced in a way that helps them from the beginning make it easier to do better, but also consider things like this. So for example, I'm the queen of doing discounts, probably because I love discounts and I love swags. So my courses are packed with them. I reach out to any companies that I tell them, hey, I'm going to promote your product. Can I get a discount? So I love Kara, a fellow dietitian. I love her Uplift powder for prebiotic and some plant protein. So during the digestive tune-up, I asked her if she could do a special discount for that. I asked Thrive Market if we could do a discount because I want the groceries to be lower. Now, this is a really big super win. Lesli and I are both huge fans of Fullscript. And one of the things that we can do from a discount standpoint is, and I actually use this in the marketing of my programs, where I will tell people that they are going to get their supplements during the program for 35% off. So I actually remove all income that I might generate from the Fullscript supplement sale, and I throw it back to them during that during the course. Now you could decide to do 20%, you could do 15, but what they're seeing is not only am I going to hand pick and present them a supplement recommendation, I'm also offering them a discount. Now the real win is if you decide to extend that discount for 3 months, right? Or if you decide to extend that discount for a year or whatever on that part, but you keep them in, and you can also change it. Maybe during the course it's 35% and then it's 20% afterwards. You can do things like that. So discounts, great options. Menus, so whether you're offering meal plans or you're offering menus, that's one of the things I think is really valuable. And then the support, so I think it's a great idea if you're offering a live program for you to, so I go into my Facebook group, and there was a question actually about doing a Facebook group versus using an online platform. I use a Facebook group, it's free, I can invite people in there, I find a lot of value to it, but I will tell you this, I record all of my my trainings for the course. I record them separately and go live into Facebook so that I own my content. So that's something you might want to consider. But on the support side, I also go into when we're in those 30 days, I tell them that I will be there, either for a set number of office hours or that myself and my team will be there to answer their questions as they pop up. And that's another way to improve engagement. So we'll take a look at the tools that we have, and then we'll come back to how this all works between building it and also marketing it. So Leslie, you can go ahead and go forward. Great. So if you're not familiar with our tools, I wanted to share them. Leslie was mentioning things like, create a PDF or do these things. Well, we do that and we do that for you. So if you would like to use our tools, you are open to using them in any of your programs. The only thing that we ask is that you don't sell the tools separately, but if you purchase a shop of tools, which we'll go through, you can use any of those tools in your program in an unlimited capacity. So for example, what I do with the digestive tune-up is I had everyone fill out this digestive evaluation and they sent it in to me. I have the answer key, which is what we call the patient or the general version, but I share with them the practitioner's version. And Julie, I'll come back to your question in 1 second. So in terms of the tools, you can use them for assessment purposes. You can use them for homework purposes, like our menus here, where you can say, so for example, I did the magnesium evaluation as one, we talked about magnesium and calcium as one topic in our course. And then I sent everyone home to see if during that week, how many days you could hit 400 milligrams of magnesium. And I gave them this menu, which shows them ways that they can hit that number more often. And it gives them 7 days, 3 meals, 2 snacks. So it shows you how you can work in that part. So when you do things like that, it becomes very, again, helping to increase the engagement. And what you don't see here, but you'll see on a following slide, is that we also then have other things for other tools, guides that you can use either as lead magnets for opting in or during the course. So for example, when I was talking about magnesium, I also talked about CBD because it's very popular today. And when you're talking about stress and the stress response, that one came up. So I shared with everyone our CBD guide, and that was a bonus that they got in the program. And again, all of this content is ready-made for you, so you can really focus on the structure of your program and on the marketing and getting to know and all the things that Leslie was talking about before. So these tools, of course, you can use them in an individual basis, but they're great for programs because they are the first and only, especially our evaluations, the first and only tools that assess total nutrition. One of the reasons somebody should come to your program is because you, the practitioner, can assess and help them improve their total nutrition. We see too often today that somebody may do a food program. I'm just going to pick on Whole30. I have no feelings one way or the next over it. But with Whole30, it's like, get rid of this, get rid of this, get rid of this, get rid of this for 30 days. Okay, but what they're not talking about in there is the total nutrition. What about what somebody is doing from a supplement standpoint? What about what's going on with their medications? And also, if you are getting rid of a bunch of stuff, like maybe somebody did a keto for 30 days, your body's need for magnesium and fiber hasn't gone away. So maybe during that time, maybe it's fine for you to be doing a keto program. Maybe your course is a keto program. And what you want to teach people to do is how to do keto better. And you can use our tools to show them how, wow, you can have cacao and you can have hemp seeds, but if you're not getting those things in, we might need you to have a supplement. So you're creating total nutrition solutions for them, which is the cornerstone of a much more successful program when we talk about outcomes and lasting outcomes. We'll go to the next slide. And I just wanted to give you examples. So these actually exist on our website. So if you purchase the shop of tools, you get all of these tools. So ignore the pricing. You could always just decide to purchase these tools if you just want to do, say you're doing a course in January and you're like, oh my gosh, I want these tools right now. You could do the sugar shakedown. And by the way, we white label and let you use all of our courses. So if you just want a ready-made course, you can have that available for you. And what we do is we've bundled together the different tools that you can use in that part. And to Leslie's point, we always try to come up with fun names because that's so important. I love the marketing side. We'll just go one slide further, Lesli, and then I'll turn it back to you. So this is just a general idea of what you get in our shop of tools and how you can use it in terms of building a course. When you have our shop of tools, you have ready-made courses at your availability for every topic and condition that is out there in terms of from a nutrition and a health goal. So somebody the other day was asking me about medicinal mushrooms, and she actually is turning it into a course. I then connected her to a company that we worked with. That was one of the people that I interviewed, their healthcare expert there as part of our medicinal mushroom. And she's now turning that into a course that's including liquid nutrition. She's using the rainbow menu. She's using magnesium, potassium, like these different evaluations. And so it's really just on that whole notion of what can you do with adaptogens today and how can you bring them in? And that was an area she really wanted to run her course off of. So, so many different opportunities. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but Lesli, I want to bring it back over to you as well.
Yeah. All right. Hey guys, I just got to say, I wish I would have had these tools when I had a private nutrition practice. Oh my goodness. This is crazy awesome. Love it. Love it. Love it. Okay. So we're not going to spend a lot of time here. We're running a little bit short on time. No surprise. We have so much that we want to share. But let's just talk briefly about how to build it so they will come and really zero in on marketing wins. So, you know, we've already talked about creating a strategic launch plan and really looking at your sales funnel. Your sales funnel is so key. How are you going to warm up your people, your audience, so that they're excited to click buy, essentially, to sign up for that course and experience that journey with you? We talked about the 3 big options to be able to accomplish that, which would include like the freebies in the form of a PDF. You can do a challenge and you can do webinars. Those are like the main 3 that I see happening in when launching a course. Crafting winning emails. So this is super important too, because you are going to want to be communicating with your audience in a really powerful way, using very strategic and powerful language so that they understand what's in it for them. These emails need to be very benefit driven. And, you know, really one of my absolute favorite ways to market a course is to collaborate with others, right? And that's through, you know, it could be through affiliate partners, but, you know, develop relationships. I think that is the key. Develop relationships with other people that also serve your target audience. And, you know, when it comes time to launch your course, you can, you know, you've already got the relationship in place. You can reach out and just say, hey, would you be willing to share? Now, I would recommend that you ask them to share your free content, right? It's a lot easier and, you know, a little less awkward for them. So ask them if they'd be willing to share your new PDF, or ask them if they'd be willing to share your webinar to get more registrants.
And Lesli, I think you and I were talking about this one before. Like, I can't stress how important it is, one, to not just like your clients and your customers, your potential customers, you don't want to just knock on their door when you're asking for something, asking them to buy something. Don't just like, it's not a relationship if you're just knocking on someone's door, even if it like you're saying like, hey, I'll promote something of yours. Will you promote this? Like really creating those lasting relationships. You know, oh, hey, over the course of the year, I've shared your social media posts, or I love this book of yours. I think that's really like, I love that part. But I think even like the bigger win that I've seen with creating courses as a healthcare practitioner is I actually have practitioners sit down and create a list of what is the win for the person that you're going to ask them. And one of the key things that we forget is if you help somebody else's client get the results that they need, or you help them help their clients get the results that they need, that is the biggest win that you can offer their business, because like you, they're also engaged in trying to create better outcomes as like their primary agenda, as well as running a business. And so, you know, that's one of the things when you're talking, when, you know, instead of pitching your doctors like, oh, I have this program, or I'm offering this affiliate program to a doctor who, no offense, may really not care about getting another $100 or $50 off of somebody signing up for your program. But if you said to them, hey, do you have any patients that are really struggling with their digestion? I would love, like, you know, to look at people who, you know, maybe calling you, or, you know, they're, you've wanted to refer them, or any of these things. And I'd love to offer you, the practitioner, the ability to give them a 50% discount or a 20% discount. And then I'm going to report back to you. I'll actually, at the end of their program, I'll give you something that you can put in their chart, like that they've completed this course, so that you know what we changed and what we did. And it's so easy with our digestive evaluation and our tools to see that part, that for me, it's not a lot of work on that piece. We've been so successful with that actually we run our courses now, our programs like the Digestive Tune-Up and the Sweet Success. I keep calling it that. The Sugar Shakedown. We invite practitioners in to do the course or the program, and if they purchase the program, they can invite, either if you're a shop of tools owner, you can invite 5 clients to participate, and if you're a practitioner who just purchases the tools for that particular course, you can invite 2 clients. What happens then is you coach your client through that course, so you're working with them, and then when they finish the Better Nutrition Program course, then you've got this client that you then have, you know, into the fold, and you can work with them moving forward. So that's like an example of the win that we realized was a great one for practitioners. I think when you find that, it's like way more than just being like, hey, you want to be an affiliate, or can you share this content of mine? So I think there's a way to upgrade that as well.
Great. Okay, so one other little tip that I want to share is don't be afraid to personally reach out to perhaps, you know, former clients that would be a great fit for your course, right? Personal reach outs, or even people that you know you've had conversations with. Maybe they weren't a great fit to work with you one-on-one. Perhaps money was an issue. Perhaps the timing wasn't quite right. I love to recommend that you keep a list of people that you've talked to, so that you can do personal reach outs and you know, personally invite them into your course, you know, when the timing is right.
That's awesome. Yeah, I so rely on that part. And I actually find that my older clients, they love it. They love hearing from me. They love knowing what's going on in my world. And I'm like, hey, you know, I would love to have you participate in this. And they're like, oh my gosh, I've been meaning to get in touch with you. I was ordering my supplements the other day, and I'm like, I don't, you know, it's been 5 years. Should I still be on the same supplements? Like that kind of thing. So I think that one is great. And the only other piece I'm going to add here with the personalization is I wrote get a hobby on here, and I just don't want anyone to think that I'm insulting them. One, get a hobby, because you're going to have time for your hobby. If you start doing this right, and you're really looking at the marketing, like all of this marketing comes together for your business, all the different aspects of your business, as well as the content is made so much easier. As I said, you know, it takes me about 15 hours to develop a tool, and then about 5 hours with our designer. So I'm giving you back 20 hours each year for that investment. But the other part about a hobby is that's actually where I find people that would never connect with me. You know, a lot of people follow me in my nutrition world on Instagram and on Facebook, but oh my gosh, in Twitter, and especially on my personal, or I guess it's still my professional, but my Instagram, I can't tell you the number of people that have come into our courses, the courses that I'm running for the Better Nutrition Program, because they're also into basketball, or they also have a Labradoodle, or they also, you know, like I'm newly relearning the trumpet. And so I have this whole group now of people that I'm in Facebook groups with, And I don't go into those Facebook groups as Ashley the dietitian and start sharing, like, I have this course coming up, like, it's really hard to blow the trumpet if you've got bad digestion. But I go in there and I'm learning from all of them. And I've actually like interacted. I hired one of them to help me with breathing for my trumpet and like all this other stuff. And then I just threw it in there. And I did say, like, in a giggling way, I'm like, hey, you know, if you're constipated, it's hard to play the trumpet very well. Got so many laughs. Like, I had one of my fun Bitmojis, but we had a couple of people sign up for our course that way. And I think that kind of interaction is going to be one that really helps you find more people, again, to that exponential outcomes and impact piece. So I think it's a drum roll, Lesli. I think we got to the end and we're on to our offers and Q&A. Woohoo!
Yes, that's right.
I love it. So I'll kick it off from a Better Nutrition program. Lesli, I think is, you know, I'm so grateful that we were connected. A couple of you, actually several of you connected us. And I'm just, with the content that you're providing and how easy you're making it for people to create those courses that have the potential to really deliver on the outcomes is incredible. And I say has the potential because, as we talked about, you really have to have the content and the engagement. As a healthcare practitioner, you need to be doing something different and unique. And what I believe our tools do, and I'm just like you, Lesli, I wish these tools would have existed when I started my practice, but they allow you to assess total nutrition and to help people with the implementation of total nutrition. So just through the end of the year, I highly recommend that you guys take us up on this offer to get the shop of tools using Lesli's code. There's a 30% off. That is actually not an affiliate code. I think that's a great thing to mention because we just so believe in each other's work that we talked about the fact that we just want to be collaborating and offering you guys a ton of value. So likewise, I get the privilege of sharing with our audience at the Better Nutrition program all about Lesli's courses. And today we're offering you this ebook, and I'll let you, Lesli, talk about your ebook.
Yeah. Absolutely. So guys, I wrote this pretty detailed ebook that goes into a lot more detail, much more detail than what I could possibly cover today. And it's called the 7 Mega Mistakes to Avoid in Creating and Selling Your Online Course. And of course, I talk about what to do instead as well. So it is free. So if you guys want to download it, go ahead and do so. All you have to do is go to leslibitel.com/7 mega mistakes. And also just really want to highly recommend that you take a look at the Better Nutrition tool shop. I mean, that's an incredible discount, that 30% off. So I do want you all to note that this offer is good through the end of the year. So 12/31/19. So go ahead and take a peek. Like I said, I'd be all over this if I still had my nutrition practice. So yeah, so I think with that, unless you have anything that you'd like to add, Ashley, maybe we can go ahead and just take a couple questions if we have time for that.
Yeah, I think we should definitely take some questions. Thank you all for those of you who gifted us longer than an hour. It's a great learning experience for Lesli and I that we should probably just know at the beginning that we're going to go on for longer than an hour. But if you had some questions, I see people are both in the chat. And then of course there's the Q&A box. If anyone wants to ask a question, we're happy to stay on here. Let's see. Noting for everyone, it's 1:12. We're happy to stay on till 1:20. So if you have questions, great. If not, go ahead and drop off and we will be getting you the recording as well. And I will see if we've got any questions. Krista, also, if there's anything, feel free to jump in. Oh, and sorry, Julie asked, you said that I record outside of Facebook, run in a live Facebook group. Absolutely, great question. So this is one of my favorite things. If you've ever seen me on Facebook Live at the Better Nutrition program or Ashley Koff or in any of our groups, you will see that I do these side-by-sides, and I love doing that from a visual standpoint. But one of the things that I also want to be able to do with all my content, and to Lesli's earlier point, especially from a course standpoint, is to be able to capture it, because in the future, I may want to tweak it and figure out what I want to repeat, but also I want to own that content. And if you just produce it on Facebook, you're at the whim of, like, what if Facebook changes access to videos or, you know, whatever's going on there. They actually, they like could make it harder for you to share that content in other places, especially on other platforms. So there are a number of different programs out there. Like for example, with Zoom, I think we are Zooming into a Facebook group, and you could do it that way. I use a product called eCam. It has 2 M's at the end, and the upside or the downside, they have incredible technology. So if you're doing something where you're showing videos and you want to do, a whole bunch of stuff, really high caliber there, and they let you, a lot of places to put your information and promos, and to also talk and share screen and all that stuff. The one challenge I think some people find is that it integrates with Skype right now. So I actually have if I was interviewing you, Julie, into my Facebook group, I would have you Skype, you and I would Skype, and then I would use eCam, and eCam allows me to go live into different Facebook groups or onto my Facebook platform. And then at the end, I get that raw MP4 and I upload that to YouTube. They have an integration, so it's super easy, but I also have that raw MP4. Like, let's say, Julie, you loved how you were on that, in that interview, and you said to me, hey, can I get that and edit it or do whatever? I have that MP4 document, whatever that is, that MP4 thing that I can share with you, and then you can edit and play with it on your end. So I highly recommend that if you are going to use, especially for a course or a program that you're going to offer, that you want to offer repeatedly into the future, or you think you want to be able to share as content in other places, I highly recommend not just going live into a group just on Facebook and doing it that way.
And Ashley, there was another question just about that, but I think you might have touched on some of that. Do you recommend a private Facebook group for a free challenge over another platform?
Got it. Lesli, do you use other platforms other than for a free challenge other than
Yeah,
Facebook?
so I do. I like the idea of using a Facebook group for a free challenge. I really do. What I'm seeing out there, I'm seeing people do what we call a pop-up Facebook group, and it's specifically designed for that challenge, right? So pop-up, like if you think of pop-up holiday store, right? They kind of pop up, and then instead of removing the Facebook group, and when the challenge is over, you can just make it inactive until you do the challenge again. But the thing I want to recommend very highly, again, to Ashley's point, is, you want to collect email addresses. So I would run the challenge on Facebook. I would do the like Facebook Lives, through Facebook, right? Or, do it on Zoom, and then do a live stream that way into your Facebook group, but also disseminate the information, like, your workbook or whatever kind of stuff you're providing. Make sure you use email as well.
Yeah. And we get around that. I wholeheartedly agree with you, because then that's how we want to be able to communicate in the future. And so what we do there is, if somebody, we have something that they're purchasing, right? So when they make the purchase, we have their email, and that also allows us to vet who is requesting access. So we have all of ours, we do pop-ups. I've never heard that expression before, but we do pop-ups. So that when people are asking to be entered into the Digestive Tune-Up pop-up group, it's private, but somebody could find it. It's got such a catchy title. Of course, someone's going to find it, right? And so when they find it, I want to make sure that it's somebody that's already paid, or in the case for us, we also have, remember, practitioners who have purchased, but then they're inviting their 5 clients to participate for free. So we make sure that we get their emails, and then we invite them in. We can check the email to make sure that we have the right people in the program, and doing it that way. And the other thing I think is really important about that you were mentioning, Lesli, is, in this day and age, we still do want to be protective of somebody's privacy. And so one of the things that I will mention in a group, as I mention it in every one of my communications in the group, is please do not go into great detail here about what you're experiencing, or what you're, like, if this is something you only want me as the healthcare practitioner to know, or should only want me as the healthcare practitioner to know, I would prefer that you then email it to me through my HIPAA compliant email. And so that's where we use our community moderator, or, we use our group there to say, send it to me directly, Not even, I don't even have them send it to the community manager who then sends it over to me. Remember, you guys, at the end of the day, the more that you can talk about in your program why somebody's getting so much value as a healthcare practitioner. So, you know, yes, they know like, oh, Ashley costs $650 for an initial consult and I'm only paying $150. That's one set of value. But when I communicate with them about the value that they're getting of me working with me as a healthcare practitioner during those 30 days by email, that's like, oh, wow, I'm getting even more than that, right? And so that's a way for me to communicate in the marketing just how much more I'm offering. And I think, Barbara, you asked, do you have rules, agreement or rules to post when starting a private Facebook page? I think you're asking about as a private Facebook page, as a pop-up group. We definitely do put rules, and you know, my communications are probably more, you can tell after having attended here. I want to be like funny and engaging, but there are also things that I just want to be super clear about. Like, it is totally inappropriate for you to do X here, or it's not okay on that part. And so just the way that you would do with any of your Facebook groups that you've participated, that you've either agreed to be in or that you have created, you can create rules in there as well. That's really important for you because you still reserve the right to, at any point, if how somebody's participating in that group, you do reserve that. Oh, is there a standard template? We do not have that. I apologize. That's actually not a bad idea. I'm not, I probably, you know who might be a good resource for that would be Legally Legit, Sam, I'm trying to remember her last name. If you want to email me, if you want to just email us team@thebetter-nutrition program, I can see that part as well. Can you purchase the digestive tune-up or the sugar shakedown? Yes, Julie. So you can turn on, if you go to the Better Nutrition program, you go under patient resources is where the shop is. A little bit confusing because under practitioner resources, it's where we talk just about the whole shop. So I can understand the confusion. Under patient resources, you'll see the shop, and then there's a gray nav bar, and that says on there packages, and you'll scroll down. And Leslie, if you'll go back a couple of slides, it can show you. And it's a really great way, as you were talking about with the cost. Oh, you can actually show here. If you go under patient resources, that's great. Well done. So yeah, and then the shop. Yeah, just go to the shop. And then go to packages, which is about in the middle. If you go dead center. Oh, sorry. Up at the top in the gray nav bar, it says packages. I always learn how effective there you go. Perfect. Okay. So you'll see, Julie, so the Gut Instinct package is $195, very different than $1350, which gives you the shop, the all 100 tools, but it also gives you access to all of the upgrades for 2 years, and you're getting, you know, your interaction with us over the course of those 2 years from an education standpoint. But totally understand, the only difference I have to communicate here is if you get the digestive package here, the Gut Instinct, which is what we use in the digestive tune-up, you only get what we call the general or the patient versions of the evaluations. And those tools are the ones that include the recommendations from our experts on there. So when you're sharing that with your clients, you would be getting those as opposed to the ones that have that notes section as opposed to the recommendations. So in the shop of tools, of the 100+ tools that you get all of the evaluations in the general form, the answer key form, and you also get a set that for practitioners to use where you are getting the just the notes section, which is an editable notes section for your clients. We can tell you more, and thank you. I see that Krista has popped in here. So just note, everything for us is the Better Nutrition Program. So Barbara, you want to include the word the in there. So team at the Better Nutrition Program. And Julie, we also do payment plans. We don't talk about that on here, but that is something that we can do if the shop is a win. But absolutely, if you guys are ready to go with a program and you just want the tools for your specific program, then I highly recommend you checking out the packages and grabbing them that way. See if we've got other questions.
All right. Well, I think we're going to have to wrap up.
Yeah.
Constraints. So, well, I'd love to do more questions. Yeah, I think we're going to have to wrap up, everybody. So listen, I want to thank all of you for your time today. I hope this was super valuable. I know I loved every minute of, you know, being able to co-present with Ashley. Thank you very much, Ashley and Krista, for, you know, for being with me today. And I hope everyone has a great rest of your day. Be sure to take advantage of that 30% off. Seriously, like I cannot even believe all the great things that you get with this, you know, with her tools, with Ashley's tools. Ashley, do you want to say anything before we wrap up?
Yeah, I am. Again, I just can't. I'm so excited for people to get that 7. I felt so bad even jumping in before because I was like, oh my gosh, I just want to listen to Lesli this entire talk and have her go through all of those 7. So grab that ebook. I think it's really going to save you. Especially, guys, remember that most of the other programs and courses about creating courses that are out there are not by healthcare practitioners for healthcare practitioners. And this is really where what we want to do is help you get the win as a healthcare practitioner as well as a business. So I think that's such a unique difference that Lesli offers. And I'm just super grateful. And stay tuned. I have a feeling that we're going to have something in a longer format coming up in 2020 because we want 2020 to be your year of exponential growth. So thank you so much, Lesli. And a huge shout out to Krista for helping us through all of this.
Great. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Bye.